June 6, 2026. I left home and began one of the longest road trips I've ever taken, a journey that would carry me thousands of miles through mountains, forests, and places I had only dreamed of visiting. Every mile brought new landscapes, but also the feeling that something unforgettable was waiting ahead. On June 8th, I arrived at St. Mary Campground in Glacier National Park. After setting up camp, I spent the evening walking around, taking in the fresh mountain air and the peaceful surroundings. As darkness settled over the valley, the sky came alive. Thousands of stars stretched from one horizon to the other, brighter than I had seen in years. That night, everything was quiet. There was no traffic, no city lights, only the sound of the wind moving through the trees. Sitting beneath that incredible sky, I felt both small and grateful. I knew the next day would be one of the biggest hikes of my trip, but I had no idea it would become one of the most unforgettable days of my life. Before sunrise the next morning, I packed my gear and drove toward the Many Glacier area. Iceberg Lake is one of the most popular hikes in Glacier National Park, and I wanted to arrive early enough to find a parking space before the crowds filled the lot. When I reached the trailhead, everything looked perfect. The air was cool and the mountains stood quietly above the valley. But while I was organizing my backpack, the weather changed almost instantly. Dark clouds rolled across the peaks, the wind picked up, and rain began falling harder by the minute. For a moment, I wondered if I should wait or turn back. Mountain weather is unpredictable, and hiking alone means making careful decisions. But I had traveled thousands of miles to experience this trail. I zipped up my rain shell, covered my camera, tightened my backpack straps, took one deep breath, and stepped onto the trail. Sometimes the best adventures begin when the conditions are far from perfect. The trail climbed steadily through thick evergreen forest, where every turn revealed something new. The smell of wet pine filled the air, and the only sounds were birds calling from the trees, water rushing through hidden streams, and the steady rhythm of my own footsteps. Hiking alone changes everything. Every sound seems louder. Every movement catches your attention. There is no one beside you to point out danger or help make decisions. Every choice becomes your own responsibility. At the same time, being alone allows you to notice details that are easy to miss. Snow-covered mountains towered above the valley. Bright wildflowers covered the meadows below. Waterfalls spilled down the cliffs, disappearing into the forest. Clouds drifted across the peaks, creating new scenes every few minutes. The higher I climbed, the more I realized how wild and untouched this place truly was. It wasn't just beautiful, it demanded respect. Then everything changed. As I rounded a bend in the trail, I suddenly found myself face to face with a grizzly bear. It was walking directly toward me on the same narrow trail. The distance between us closed quickly, and for a brief moment, time seemed to stop. I remembered the advice I had heard before coming to Glacier National Park. Don't run, stay calm, make yourself known. I raised my voice and shouted loudly. The bear kept coming. I shouted again, louder this time. Still, it continued walking toward me. My heart was pounding. I slowly reached for my bear spray and held it ready in my hand. I shouted one more time. Finally, the bear stopped. After a few long seconds, it stepped off the trail, walked around me through the brush, and then quietly returned to the trail behind me before continuing on its way. The encounter lasted only moments, but it felt much longer. Nothing happened. No spray was needed. Neither of us was hurt. But standing alone on that trail, only a short distance from one of North America's most powerful animals, is something I'll never forget. It was a powerful reminder that out here, this is their home, not ours. After taking a few minutes to calm down, I continued hiking. The trail became more challenging as I climbed higher. Snow covered sections of the path, making every step slower and more careful. Small streams crossed the trail, and icy water flowed around my boots. Waterfalls thundered down the cliffs from melting snow high above. Along the way, I spotted mountain goats standing effortlessly on steep rocky slopes and deer quietly feeding in the meadows, completely at peace in their natural world. As I gained elevation, the rain slowly changed into falling snow. The mountains disappeared behind clouds, and everything became quieter. The landscape transformed into shades of white, gray, and deep green. Finally, I reached Iceberg Lake. Instead of the blue water many hikers see in late summer, the lake was completely frozen beneath thick snow and ice. It stretched silently beneath towering cliffs, untouched and almost unreal. There were no waves, no movement, only complete stillness. It felt less like reaching a destination, and more like stepping into another world. After spending a few quiet minutes enjoying the view, taking photographs, and eating a quick snack, it was time to head back. The return hike followed the same trail, but it felt completely different. I crossed the same snowfields, stepped through the same streams, and walked beneath the same towering mountains. Yet after everything that had happened, I saw the landscape with new appreciation. Every mile reminded me how quickly nature can change. From sunshine to rain, from rain to snow, from peaceful hiking to standing only a few yards away from a grizzly bear. By the time I reached the trailhead, I had completed nearly 11 miles. I was tired, soaked, and cold, but also incredibly thankful. That day gave me everything: beautiful scenery, unpredictable weather, incredible wildlife, real adventure, and a story I will carry with me for the rest of my life. And the best part is that I captured almost all of it on camera.